the wheel. Did we hit the button?
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel of intros.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, R2. I just set a new course. We're going to Cloud City. It's a mighty good gin and tonic. She makes me up another.
Impressive, now release your anger. You must have sensed that your friends are in danger.
Oh, why'd you slice off my hand?
It's imperative that you understand. Obi-Wan would never bother. Tell me too about your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
Then there's something I must reveal. Then I'm your father. 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 I'm your father.
Knock him out the box, Luke. Knock him out. Knock him out the box, Luke. Knock him out. Knock him out the box, Luke. Knock him out. Knock him out the box, Luke. Knock him out. Knock him out the box, Luke.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Me.
Oh, yes. How are you all feeling? It is a great day to be with you all. We're jacked, y'all. We got a great episode.
Yeah.
Marcus is eating a cup of noodles. It's gonna be a great episode.
Right out of the gate,
Hey.
you gotta call it out.
I don't
little baby.
want to leave it. I don't want to leave it.
Hey, if
that's
anybody
kinda
hating
where I'm
on
at.
me, mind your damn business. Cheers to you. You know what
I mean, a cup of noodles is when you are like, I'm hungry, but I don't want to wait around.
You gotta
Like
make
that
it
is
shake.
just.
Hey,
I have also heard of ways that you can like take your cup of noodles experience up to the next level.
By
like
adding
people-
adobo.
Adobo is a great way.
okay,
Some
okay.
some
Worcestershire
chicken,
sauce.
a raw egg, like an egg.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so that's how you
egg.
take it from good to great.
Yeah.
But again, some days you do what you can.
Yeah.
Y'all, we're gonna get into it. So we're gonna talk a little bit of some. Thank you, Roman's Chiron, like his kangaroo in the water. So if you're seeing somebody comment on all of our YouTube videos and it's a
It's
person
Roman.
named kangaroo in the water, it's Roman and it's incredible. Yep, that's
Good.
it. That's it.
Good. Good.
We are going to talk a little bit about some Marvel news, some decisions that they have to make. We're going to talk a little Zack Snyder. We're going to take a debate that we had from the chat, and we're going to bring it right on into this podcast, which I'm very excited about.
Motherfucker.
And then we're going to talk. I want to talk about the Echo trailer. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
That's what
I
we're
got some
talking
news about Blade too. So
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
I saw
Awesome.
that right before we
just say it
started. I'm
right before we
excited.
started.
Mhm.
Yeah.
sorry.
So we got a lot of news. We got a lot of Marvel news today that we're going to dive into. But in order to do it well and in order to do it right, we need to make sure everybody is thoroughly welcomed and introed. And so I'm going to kick it on over to Brian Roush, aka Blue Flannel Craft Beer Dad. Brian,
me.
how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I just got back from a little trip to an Ohio brewery called Brewdog.
Shout out to Brewdog.
Shout out to Brewdog. If you want to sponsor this podcast, we would love that. Feel free to talk to us. And went there with a few friends, my bestie Brian, and we went to the brewery for 2 days and drank some really good beer. Just got back today, and I'm super hyped to be here and talk about everything that we're set to talk about because I have strong feelings, so I'm excited to get them out. I'm excited to get them out here, and I'm just in a very good mood because, again, I've been drinking craft beer now for about 48 hours straight, and I'm here now, so it's good. It's really good to be here.
I'm so
I feel like
excited
that's
for
my
you.
moment to cue. Like, welcome to the good life.
You're welcome. You're all welcome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I live. Yeah,
I will say,
Okay.
this.
He hit that note.
When Brian says, "Oh, my best friend Brian,"
Oh, man.
he's not friends with himself. That's another person named
Named
Brian.
I promise
So-
this is a John Mulaney bit. I do have a best friend named Brian.
Yes.
He is
Yep.
real. He exists.
He spells his name the other way you spell Brian.
Oh,
Yes.
BRI.
He's a BRI. You know,
You're
it's-
BRY. Yep,
This is why we can keep each other. You know, we can keep track of things a bit easier this way.
that's right.
So
right.
that's it. It's helpful. It's helpful.
It
Hate
is.
to be friends with another Marcus because that just gets
Be
weird.
hard.
That
Well,
name,
yeah.
Brian and Brian is fine. Marcus and Marcus just feels like
Oh,
it's a high
How do-
octane
wait,
strip
wait,
club or
Markys. I don't know how you'd spell that. That'd be an insane way to spell Marcus.
God. You'd be surprised how many people are like, "Can you spell your name for me?" And or I will offer them to spell my name.
Yes.
And they'll be like, "Is it Marquis?" And I'll be like, "That's Marquise."
And that feels racist.
Yeah, like
it does. No, it does though.
It feels a little.
Even when black people say it just be like, "No, my name is not no goddamn Marquise." I don't know what you named your little nephew, but mine is Marcus. It looks good on a check.
And do you feel like you're playing roulette a little bit when you guys go to any food ordering and they're like, "Can I have a name?"
Well,
and
actually,
like,
I don't have that issue. Like if I go to Starbucks or like anything like that, they usually get it right. Sometimes I get the occasional Markus or Markis. Is it Marcus or Marcus?
Marcus.
The most outrageous misspelling that I got at a Starbucks was somebody got my name. I said Doug. They heard dong, and so they said, "I have a coffee for dong," and I was like, "Right here." So, and what's really funny is my sister-in-law was present at the time. So now every time she'll like ask Brittany, she's like, "Where's dong at?" Like, that's just kind of my name now.
That is so fucked up because it takes one moment for your nickname or like whatever name to just stick.
I'm dong now for everybody that I know.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's no way that they took that name. They're either really judgmental or like non-judgmental, and they're like, "Oh wait, no, his name is Dong. I'm not gonna ask any questions." Or they just didn't think twice.
He doesn't look like he's from East Asia, but I guess we're just gonna take it. This
is how it is. We have to write it on the cup. Like
we have to write it on the cup
by the laws of food ordering.
Yeah, that's
we
just
can't
the way.
Change this.
Those are the laws. The laws are when it's on the cup, that's your name. That's just the way it works.
That's how it is. You can't change it.
I would ask again anyway, because then you making me say the name out loud. Dong, are you here, Dong?
It's Doug, but
I'm looking for the white dong, not black dong, but dong.
Right here.
Usually,
get a name similar to Roman. Oh,
Roman.
Okay.
I mean, Roman. I'm sure people are like, really, like the nation,
like the empire,
Roman, the empire with the Caesar. Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Speaking of names, we also have to kick it on over to Miggity Back Daddy, Marcus J. Destin. Marcus, how you feeling?
I'm good, baby. I got my noodles. I got my homeboys. I got my podcast. You know what I mean? It's just a good day. You know what I mean? It was a little rough day before, but then it turned into a good day.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you were enjoying your noodles with your boys. It's just it's all around.
That's the thumbnail.
You gotta just slow down sometimes and enjoy those noodles with the boys.
One slurp at a time.
Listen here, Dong. Slow your roll.
Marcus, you had a big event both on Saturday and on Wednesday of last week. Marcus, how did those go for you?
Man, it was so good. We had our Unity Week event from my office, and we partnered with the Native Student Services and a lot of other departments on campus and student organizations. We were able to hear from the phenomenal Tazba Chavez, who is a writer and director on Res Dogs. We were also able to talk to Rashina Nash again. Put him on a panel, who is also a writer and director for, the Black Family for Coco Melon, Atlanta Insecure, a lot of those Disney Plus, Hulu, like all that kind of stuff, and moderated by Megan Richard Shaw. So that night was just phenomenal. Really going to try to get Rashina Nash back on the podcast because she's just phenomenal, but also trying to get Tazba on here because, she just has really good energy. So this is me, Tazba, you know what I mean? Marcus here, in case you forgot, it's me. Inviting you here on this podcast. This is so that I can upload this clip to socials and hopefully that you see this and I have not been forgotten about. We would love to have you on here. Come up here and talk your shit. We loved you, Miss Rashina. We cannot wait to have you back too as well. But it was good. And then we had our Unity Ball event. Really great night, really fun night. We also had Daniel French, who is a big festival performer, big performer. He was here. He performed, did a great job. Thank you, Daniel. Just a really good week. Thank you to everybody that helped. You know what I mean?
Love it. Love to hear it. And I don't like to put this type of energy out in the world, but I mean, if there were tabloids, there might have been some reports of new romances bubbling at the Dakota Brick House, but that is neither here nor there.
Well, those are rumors.
Yes,
Doug.
those are all rumors.
Doug, 1 hour
mostly
later,
true.
how are you doing, man?
I am doing outstanding. That was an excellent pivot. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm doing
Learn from my
great.
dad.
As you can see, I am repping my alter ego. He's not a mom, so that's the exciting thing. Not a mom,
God,
Roman.
Roman.
So
I didn't even have to look.
much
I just know it's
much
Roman.
like Taylor Swift is breaking the mold of skinny British guys with Travis Kelce, Marcus J. Destin is breaking the mold of moms and everywhere.
when I
Breaking the
think-
mold of moms and hearts everywhere.
When I think of trending and Taylor Swift, I immediately think, you know what? She has a lot of
Skinny
common
British
with
guy.
Marcus. She has a lot of common with Marcus because they're
That's
both
right.
breaking molds.
They're
Douglas,
basically the
1
same
hour
person.
later, how are you doing?
Yeah. What is
I
the
am
one-
doing outstanding. As you can see, I am repping my alter ego running ambassador hat today.
Excellent.
I
Good.
got my gear. Pretty
Nice.
excited about it. So for those that don't know, I'm an ambassador for them. So if you are looking for a running hat,
Awesome.
or just a new cap in general, if you're a follically challenged gentleman like myself, aka you bald as shit, get yourself a hat and you can enjoy that. So that's where we're at. So I got
Great.
this one. I also got a beanie because it's South Dakota.
Mhm.
And then I got this really fun, like black paint splattery hat that I enjoy as well.
That's really
So,
Oh, nice.
excited to start running in these. They've got like a sweatband in them. So super excited about that. But other than that, I got off a stint of holding down the Wagner house for 24 hours as my wife took some time to herself and went to a concert with a friend in Fargo. So I was single dadding it yesterday on the fall back, and we handled that fall back like a champ. Like we were just ready.
Love that.
So very excited about that.
I missed that
Good.
completely. I woke up and was like, why the fuck is my microwave? I thought something happened. I was like, why the fuck is the clock on my microwave say it's like 8 o'clock? And it was like completely wrong. So it threw me off. And you know what's funny? And we were at the Unity Ball, and this nice older gentleman came up and was like, can somebody make an announcement on the microphone that daylight savings time is tomorrow? And I was like, fuck no. No, man, we can't do that. We're not gonna do that. That's not what this is for. And then forgot about it. And so I was like, he was right, and I was wrong. So I look like the asshole now. So
I mean, kind of, but okay.
Well,
also weird request. Also, Marcus and I had a little adventure on Friday, which was really exciting.
Was good.
We got to
we
go
beat up a guy at
and his girlfriend.
Casey's
We assaulted somebody at a Casey's. Yeah,
we
all
did it.
because of a deal for a used PS5
Take
went
that,
bad,
Brittany.
and next thing you know,
Take
we
that.
had to go to fisticuffs with a
You
guy.
thought
and his
we weren't
girlfriend
rough
in
and
the
tough,
parking lot.
Brittany.
Yeah, didn't think
that.
we were good tough. Now we're wanted in at least 3 states. So
I honestly don't even know what to believe from the story.
okay, here's the real story. The real story is I got a PS5. That's the headline.
That's amazing.
The second headline is I told Brittany, like, hey, I'm going up to Sioux Falls with Marcus.
Yeah.
So that way, just so he and I can catch up and hang out a little bit.
Sure.
She goes, Are you bringing him for your muscle? And I was like, I mean, yes, kind of. I need a witness. But she also goes like, I don't know if I would. I feel like I could take both of you.
That's
like that. She's like, I don't think I find either one of you like intimidating.
God, Brittany's such a
and then right before we left, she goes, okay, don't get ripped off or robbed. Like
Brittany just no respect on my name at all.
No.
Wow.
Like, you're bringing Marcus? What the fuck is he gonna do?
Wow.
And so after we left on the drive back, I was like, all right, what's our story? He was like, okay, well, we both kind of like created this elaborate tale where we had to beat up a man and his girlfriend in the parking lot of
You had
the
to beat up the girlfriend in your fictitious story.
Well, I mean, she was there as a witness. Like,
It was
she's
Doug. I
gotta
don't
be
put my
sent a
hand on women.
message.
No witnesses.
It was
That's
Doug.
right.
I don't touch women. It was Doug. He beat her up. I beat up the guy.
See, I love it.
Now you got to turn on the fictitious story. You just got to turn the whole thing.
It was panic. I didn't mean to. Like,
It was utter reflex.
it was just a.
Oh
knee-jerk.
man.
But yeah,
All
so it was fun.
fiction. Okay.
So yeah,
Mhm.
so all in all, it was a great weekend. We've had a great weekend.
It was good.
Good.
I did find out, like, what are you drinking? An old fashioned, Doug?
I am indeed.
I did drink an old fashioned this weekend, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But then somebody had a mezcal, an old fashioned with a mezcal.
Okay.
Sure.
And it was smoky, and it was like really, really super smoky. Daniel French. We went out to dinner with him, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to try this?" And I tried it, and I was like, "That is a good combination." I don't know if it's straight up old fashioned is my wave. Like I'm trying to find my drink. I'm the kind of guy that wants the fruity drink.
Well, that's
I don't want to
fine.
be able to taste
Okay.
the liquor. I want to be able
That's
to drink
fine.
it like juice
Okay.
and then get fucked up on the back end.
Yeah.
That drink right there, that is a man's drink. Like the old fashioned is like you are just
I
like
love a
I
good
enjoy
old
it.
fashioned.
I do
you know
too.
what I mean?
I do too. I also may recommend that if you're going to Cece's, Marcus,
Mm-hmm.
try their Mai Tai, because their Mai Tai is really good.
Okay,
That one
I'm
is
gonna hit that Mai
delicious.
Tai.
That's a little bit of that's like pineapple juice and like rum, and then so it's
Ooh.
really, really good.
I'm gonna hit that.
Welcome to Cocktails in Black and White.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's a great day.
Freaky.
But
Mhm.
gentlemen,
Mhm.
we have a whole ass episode to get to.
Try it.
And so I want to start us off by playing a little bit of Catch That Quotable. Silky sounds of Marcus J. Gentlemen, are you ready for this week's quote?
Hit me.
We did that right this time. I'm really proud of both of you for the
Kiss
reason.
my ass. I had to cut that clip the other day and I gotta post it tomorrow. Ready. Yeah,
Ready.
all right.
Yeah, he did kind of come down on you.
Yeah, it did. All right, here we go. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Oh God, this could be anything, and I don't even know where to fucking start.
Yeah, I don't either.
I guess I don't know. Maybe it's because I got Nick Cage on the brain, but he did a movie called The Family Man.
The Family Man. Yeah.
Don Cheadle's in that. Random, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he also do one called The Weatherman? And it was about he and his family. Yes.
Yeah.
He did, and that's set in Chicago, by the way.
Okay,
we'll talk
there we
about
go.
that later, but I enjoyed that.
Because that's the movie I went to. I was like, is this The Weatherman?
Oh, no
'cause it
kidding.
could be that. So we were both kind of on the same wavelength, Brian.
Nick Cage is in the air.
Roman, by the way, when he sent us this, he goes, this one might be a bit of a layup. And now that I've read it, I'm like, it is not. Like,
Can you read the quote again?
I can. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
God, that is tough. I need a hint. I'm sorry.
I need a hint. I would take one.
That's hard.
If
That's not a
layup. If Roman's in the chat and wants to listen, I would take one. Or let's do this. I can also pull up a hint.
Yeah. You can pull it up, and then
I'll just rule myself.
I'm waiting for it
from the guests.
I'm waiting for it to be like Grown Ups or something with Adam Sandler.
Oh, okay. Here's your hint. Your hint is your hint is going to be gangsters.
What?
Mm-hmm.
All right, is it The Godfather? Because I wouldn't know. So, I'll say Godfather.
It's not.
Brian's disappointed.
It's not.
He's like this, like, oh God.
I've never seen it. Jesus.
That's okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Gangsters.
It's the I don't know. The Untouchables. I don't know.
Hey, all right. Marcus, you're correct. This is The Godfather.
Oh,
holy buckets! Wow, dude!
Eat it.
Wow.
It was a very hard for me to give you a hint without just giving the movie away.
I need to watch The Godfather again.
I win again, motherfuckers!
saving us again, Marcus.
It really.
You say gangsters, and that's the only thing I can think about. Like, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
So what do we usually take? Like $10 off? What he usually donates?
I think it's a half.
Oh, there we go.
So like half.
There you go. Half. There you go.
Oh wow, we're at $75.
We are at $75.
Look at us go.
We're proud of us. Continue to support us. We'll start looking at charities to find one that's worth donating.
Yep.
I think Brian usually is the one who does that for us, so we'll see what we got.
That's me.
Marcus, you have a game that you wanted to play with us based off of a Facebook-esque question.
Yes.
So take it away, Marcus.
All right. So there is a question. I'm going to put us on the three-way scroll. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Hang on. I can get my
here.
Face.
I am. Right?
I can get my face in here. Hang on.
Jesus. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Over here.
Okay. So you can only watch one of the Jesus.
One
You
No,
can
you're
only
good.
watch 1 year of 90s movies. So I'm gonna read these through, and then y'all gotta pick what year you would have to be stuck in and just watching those movies. Okay.
Okay.
1990, Home Alone, Ghost, House Party, Goodfellas, Edward Scissorhands is 1990. 1991, My Girl, New Jack City, Terminator 2, Point Break, or Boys in the Hood. 1992, Juice, Three Ninjas, Batman Returns, Encino Man, White Men Can't Jump. 93, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Sandlot, Free Willy, Menace to Society, or Jurassic Park. 94, The Crow, Ace Ventura, Street Fighter, Above the Rim, or Little Rascals. 95, Friday, Bad Boys, Mortal Kombat, Jumanji, or Power Rangers the movie. 96, Scream, Matilda, Space Jam, Independent Day, or Set It Off. 97, Titanic, Men in Black, Selena, Good Burger, Face Off. 98, Rush Hour, Blade, American History X, Small Soldiers, Belly. Or 99, Big Daddy, Deep Blue Sea, The Matrix, Blue Streak, or 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh my
Gentlemen,
god. This is hard.
what year would you pick?
I have it down to 2 years.
Okay.
I have it between 94 and 95.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're between The Crow, Ace Ventura, Street Fighter, Above the Rim, Little Rascals, and then 95, Friday, Bad Boys, Mortal Kombat, Jumanji, and Power Rangers.
Yeah, for me, it's between 94 and 95.
Why those? Which one stood out in those? Like that made you say, like,
94, The Crow, I really enjoy. If you have not seen The Crow, it's incredible.
Okay.
And then also Ace Ventura is a classic. Street Fighter's fun because it's both an action movie and kind of a comedy, like all wrapped into one, which I enjoy. And then Above the Rim is the only one of those I haven't seen, and Little Rascals is something that, like, if I wanted to watch with kids, I could. 95 I like because Friday, Bad Boys, and Mortal Kombat. I mean, right out of the gate, those three are just so awesome. And Mortal Kombat fulfills that same thing that Street Fighter does, kind of a comedy wrapped into an action movie just a little bit. And then Jumanji, like, are you kidding me? Like, there's just, it's really hard. Mine's between 94 and 95.
I think I'm stuck 3 ways. Mine is between 92, 95, and then 98 and 98 is only the first 2 because of Rush Hour and Blade. That's really it. And Small Soldiers.
Hard.
So I like
Belly
Belly's also good.
I mean,
so we can make a final decision, but I want to hear what Brian, what is where are you at with a toss up, or where are you at?
95 keeps coming up because I feel like it's the breadth of what you can watch. You have Bad Boys, which is to me a quintessential action movie. If I taught a class, Bad Boys would be in the foundational literature. We're putting that out there for modern day blockbusters. Mortal Kombat, again, like, there's always something you can find in it with how bad, like, it's such a good fighting movie, but a bad narrative. Like, there's something to find in it every single time you watch it. And Jumanji is very creative. Friday, also a classic when it comes to comedy. If we did, like, if we're doing a class, black comedy, modern black comedy, Friday is the mold to me. I don't know. I mean, like, that's what it is to me. Power Rangers, the movie, I could take it or leave it, but there's some formidable folks here. I think, though, it's between 95 and 1991 because 91, it's got, to me, it's just, there's so many, like, cultural touchstones in there. Like, Boys in the Hood, like
New Jack City.
New Jack City. There's so much.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 looks as good today as it was when it was made with the special effects. And there's an amazing story there. Point Break is so weird. Like, I can't tell you, I am attracted to this movie over and over again. Like, I can't tell you why, but it has this weird energy. Gary Busey plays the straight cop, which makes me laugh every time. Keanu Reeves is supposed to be like the hot shot maverick. Is just, I mean, and My Girl, I feel like that evens it out. So
Here's the thing though, like, and here's the thing to Roman's point. There are movies, if it was like, if you could just, if we had to pick a year based off of one movie, this is a whole.
That's a different conversation.
It's a different conversation because for me,
yeah,
then 1999's Deep Blue Sea would get me hooked every single time. But also, I would pick 99 or 90. If we're doing one movie, it's 99 or 93.
Oh my god.
It's either Jurassic Park or it's like Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Jurassic Park is the one that stands out to me. 99 would be perfect if I didn't have 10 Things I Hate About You in it. Like I would go 99 if I could swap anything out. I would put Bad Boys in 99 and then I would be good. Because I think
10 Things I Hate About You, you could leave?
Yeah, that wasn't in my wheelhouse of cultural movies.
Okay, that's fine. That movie
fight about it.
That Heath Ledger. That is where I met Heath Ledger, and I had a very small crush on Julia Stiles, and then it's like a Shakespeare story, which I have a big heart about because my wife has helped me learn to like Shakespeare in all of its forms. So like. But I understand it. It does. I'll be honest with you. In all of the movies here, I'm like 10 Things I Hate About You might be the only romantic comedy on here. If you want to call it that, because you could argue it's not.
That's because we weren't in the era of rom-coms yet. Like the era of rom-coms was from like 2000 to like 2008.
No, there's some very good rom-coms in the 90s. I mean, we had Sleepless in Seattle. We had, While You Were Sleeping. I don't know. We're getting off topic here.
So what final year would you all pick?
I think I'm going 94.
Okay.
I think I'm going 90. I think I'm going 94. Yep.
The Crow, Ace Ventura, Street Fighter, Above the Rim, and Little Rascals. That's a wide gambit right there.
It is. It's a very broad brush there.
Yeah. Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I'm going 91. I'm going 91.
Nice.
Brian's going My Girl, New Jack City, Terminator 2, Point Break, and Boys in the Hood.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go with 95. So I'm gonna go with Friday, Bad Boys, Mortal Kombat, Jumanji, and Power Rangers movie because I love all of those movies. Like that doesn't miss to me. Everything from start to finish. I could see how Power Rangers would throw y'all off. But if you're talking about Friday, Bad Boys, Mortal Kombat, Jumanji, and the Power Rangers movie, all of that is right up my alley.
There you go. That's it.
Okay.
We did it, y'all.
Yeah,
that was hard because Mortal Kombat, like I keep thinking, that's going to be the one I'm going to keep
so bad
about.
It's good.
It makes, the plot for that, it's literally, they were like, hey, what if we just made the video game?
Yeah.
Like we just made it a movie.
Here's the thing.
Can we do that? And they're like, yeah, we did it.
I appreciate how they didn't overthink it because I would rather have a movie like that than a movie that's like, okay, we're going to ground everything, right? You try to Nolan it. Like everything has to be realistic. So like there is a literal Mortal Kombat and you're like, no, I don't need it to be literal. Like you can have this silly make-believe, like, city in the sky where all these people fight. I don't need it to be real. Also the song's a banger.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the game is, I like the new direction that I've been watching some gameplay on that new Mortal Kombat game. And I like the direction that it went of like rewriting timelines and everything like that too. Like I enjoy seeing these characters in a different light. And it's a franchise that kind of lives on forever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's also hard to redo that when it's not a video game. Because the movie is like, it almost tries to take itself too serious to explain why people are Mortal Kombating.
Right.
And it's like, no, motherfuckers, just fight.
Why they're Mortal Kombating. Oh my gosh. Well, and I remember seeing some screenshots from them. Like, I can't believe Megan Fox is in this and she's voicing a character and it's so bad. And I'm like, y'all, this is Mortal Kombat. I don't know what more. You're not going to get like Jennifer Lawrence Oscar award worthy like filmmaking here. This is a fighting game and she's a vampire. This is it, folks. I don't know what you're looking for.
I'm still surprised that Jennifer Lawrence was in X-Men First Class. Like, that really shocks me to this day that they got her to play Mystique. I don't know if I like it still to this day. It's not that I don't like it. It's just not my favorite casting. I just think it was like, how did this happen? Like, they were trying to get her to win an Oscar. It almost feels like I
Well,
don't
and
know.
here she is to talk about it, Jennifer Lawrence, everybody.
Oh my gosh, I would.
She
love
showed
to
the fuck
talk to
up. I
her.
might have to quit.
If
my
she's
job.
in your basement, that is a how did you?
Yeah,
how
I
did you
got
get
a lot.
it?
I got a lot
obviously-
of questions I have to answer.
Yeah. Brittany
How
gonna
did
kick
she
your
get
ass.
here?
Why is she here?
Why
I
is
feel like
here?
I feel like Jennifer Lawrence did the Jessica Alba thing of like, okay,
Mm,
Pretending
I'm
to be
hot
black.
and young.
No.
Wow. Did she? This might be brand new information. to
Did
me,
you ever?
y'all.
You keep talking. I'm gonna look up a picture.
Okay, all right.
Of,
I really like her, so I might lose a darling here. But I mean, Jennifer Lawrence was like hot in her career. She was just off of Hunger Games, so I think she made Hunger Games and X-Men almost in the same time period. So like she did the thing where like you take every project you can and you work really hard for like 10 years. And then you back off because you did it. Like you've made it. She did 2 franchises. She got her Oscar and called it a day. And now she just does projects that she wants, like No Hard Feelings, which is an adult comedy, which nobody would have probably made unless she had the star power for it.
And is on Netflix.
Is it really? Oh,
well, I almost watched it.
all right, so I may have.
Did you throw Jessica Alba under the bus for no reason?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I think it was
boy.
just like it was the assumption that Jessica Alba looked black, but we didn't know that at the time. We loved her in Honey, right?
She's very distinctly Latina in that movie, though.
Is she?
Isn't she? Uh-oh.
I don't know.
I mean,
we're gonna pull it
all
up.
right, films in black and white. Rewatch this, Honey.
Is she Latino in real life?
I don't know if we should be talking about this.
That's hilarious.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, no, that's hard. That's a hard call.
I mean, she is a dance choreographer in this movie.
She looks light skinned black to me, and I just
does she really?
That's the vibe I got.
She does look light skinned black to me. This screams light skin. I don't know what.
Okay, I saw this movie once in a theater with a girl I liked, so I was not fully paying attention to the movie.
No, I understand.
So I'm
not saying that I'm not saying anything is wrong. Maybe she was supposed to be Latina in that movie.
What was it? I mean, does anybody know? Is she just called Honey throughout the movie, or does she have like a name? Like it's
like Honey Daniels. That's her. That's the name of the character. Honey Daniels.
That was a white studio that was like, make them wonder.
Because the rest of the cast is black. The rest of this cast is black.
Make them wonder.
The rest of this cast is black. Why was Jessica Alba cast in Honey?
Because she could be both.
Reportedly, Aaliyah was originally cast as Honey. Though the role was later recast to Jessica Alba due to Aaliyah's death.
Okay.
That kind of feels like a hey, we were gonna go out for traditional. I'm gonna show you a picture of Aaliyah. We got Taco Bell instead.
Why are you coming down so hard on Jessica Alba, man?
I'm just saying, if you're gonna tell me that I have a choice between Aaliyah and Jessica Alba in a movie that Honey is about, I would prefer to see the movie with Aaliyah in it.
You came in at Jessica. I just was.
And here she is, Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba exists, and it's just like
there's some weird portal in my house.
Okay, I'm gonna show you this picture of Aaliyah.
I like the pictures, which are really great for an audio format.
I see Aaliyah, and I see. I mean,
okay, yeah, I see what they did. Yeah, I see what they did. I see what they did. Okay, so for those that can't see this, the picture we are seeing is of Aaliyah looking at us wearing a bandana and big hoop earrings and like what looks like a sweatshirt, black shirt necklace type of thing, and then Jessica Alba. Just insert a picture of Jessica Alba as comparative, and that's what we've got.
Man.
So apparently the movie's based on Laurieann Gibson, who is a Canadian choreographer, and that she does appear to be black. So I feel like this is a larger conversation we have stumbled into. which
let's move on. Let's move on.
yeah,
Shout
I
out
have
to
lots of
Dancing the
questions for
Night-
the production team.
Shout out
Welcome
to
to Dancing the Night Away, a film that a podcast that talks exclusively about the '90s movie Honey. We're going to give you the comparatives for
how many
lead
episodes you
actress.
think you can get out of this shit?
Just about 3, and then we're
Man.
done.
And then you go on and you play this blonde, blue-eyed superhero in Fantastic Four, The Range.
I mean, oh my gosh, yeah, and that blonde, like this is shout out to Doug for
Thank
describing
God for
pictures.
Doug's ability
Roman.
to describe pictures.
I did my best. I did my best.
I mean, and Jessica Alba said that the bleach they gave her hair killed her hair, like for Fantastic
they
Four.
blonded the fuck out. They
So,
really,
like,
and the fake ass contacts too. That was bad.
yeah, like
Are we
Jessica
still talking
Alba's.
about Honey, or are we talking about Fantastic Four?
Well, now we're
This
talking
is
about Fantastic
Jessica Alba
Four.
in Fantastic Four. We appreciate Jessica
Yeah.
Alba though. Let me tell you that.
Jessica Alba's hair died so that we could get Fantastic Four. May that
Both
sacrifice never be
literally
in vain.
and figuratively.
Yes. Well
No,
done.
wait, excellent wordplay, Brian.
Well,
Are you pulling up a picture of Jessica Alba in Fantastic
No.
Four? Okay, I was wondering. I'm kind of waiting. Like, should I pivot us to talk about
No.
issues at Marvel related to
This is-
Jonathan
this is-
Majors, or do I need to wait for the picture for Jessica Alba to show up?
No, we should move on to the crisis.
He's got one now. He's got one. That's
Does he
right.
really?
Yep, he's got one. It's coming. He's coming. He's coming. All right, here we go. Let's just get it out of the way. All right.
I remember what she
You
looked
don't know
like. This
me.
is
I do know.
nice me. Yeah, man. Wow.
All right, let's move.
All
on.
right, Jesus. Yeah, those were some terrible
That was-
contacts. Those are like, hey, can you make contacts,
terrible.
but don't give them
She-
pupils? And
she
they're like,
looks-
wait, really? And they're
It's
like,
just-
yeah,
looks
fuck it.
Like, look at okay, like this is like, wow, like great. Then this is like, damn, like y'all really tried to go comic accurate as fuck.
She looks
Yeah,
like
okay,
an
so the
anime
picture-
character.
So Roman, here what we're looking at is
Stop explaining
Jessica
pictures to Roman.
Alba.
He's watching it with us. Look at Roman. Help the audio listeners. Help
He's in the chat.
Yeah,
He's in the
okay.
chat.
So what we were looking at was a picture from Jessica Alba from Fantastic
Oh my
Four.
God.
She has very blonde hair and the worst blue contact lenses you've ever seen in your life.
They're too big.
They're
Like, I
very
don't know
big
what
for her
happened
face.
there.
Mhm. All right. Let's talk about Jonathan Majors, and let's talk about some issues
And
that this
Marvel.
is potentially creating. No, just Jonathan Majors. Let's talk
Oh.
about some issues that it's creating at Marvel with their plans moving forward. So, for those that don't know, Jonathan Majors is in the midst of a criminal trial.
Yeah, it is a criminal trial.
He's in the midst of a criminal trial for a physical assault issue stemming from an incident with his at the time girlfriend, which is still being able to which we are still resolving. So I want to stop there really quickly and say, throw him under the jail if he's guilty. Like that's the thing I want to say. It's important that we stand for that. Like that just type of behavior is not tolerated. And so what we're going to talk about is the impact that this is having on Disney and Marvel as a whole for their plans moving forward. The bigger issue for me that I think is important to all of this is that the woman who was the victim here gets justice, whatever that looks like, and that we allow that to play out. So that's what I'm going to say being said.
Yep. Agreed.
This trial for Disney overall, though, this trial for Jonathan is creating issues for Disney moving forward because they have sort of linchpinned their cart to the horse that is the Kang dynasty and Secret Wars. And you kind of need Kang in order to be able to do that. So that's the stage I'm going to set. I'm actually going to turn it over to Brian because Brian has a great article that he wanted to talk about that kind of talks about this a little bit more. So take it away, Brian.
Yeah. So basically, this piece came out from Variety last week by Tatiana Siegel, and essentially is basically getting background of where Marvel is at. And if you're not familiar with background, that basically means they talk to people that wanted to be on the record but not named. So again, this came out last week. A lot of this information that was in here was, in my opinion, was already known. So we already knew that Quantumania didn't do well. And
we did know that.
And we knew that Marvel wasn't too pleased with that. We knew that Disney was basically using Marvel as this golden goose to get people to subscribe to Disney Plus. That we already knew. Where the new information comes in is basically like how bad it was. And there's a quote here that I'm going to quote and unquote, and it has a cuss word. So if you have children, I guess thanks for
let her rip, Brian.
that.
Fuck it. Let it go.
I've been waiting on this shit all day. God damn it.
Go,
Hell, how many years have we been doing this podcast?
We've been doing this for 4
we've been talking about this shit, Brian.
This could be your official announcement that you're joining to pod.
Yeah, let's put a pause on that real quick. Remember his point, Doug. Remember his point.
I will. Okay, listen, he has a cuss word he wants to say. I remember that.
Word. 40 minutes in. Listen, Brian never officially accepted his position here at Films in Black and White. Years ago, when we first started, I invited Brian on the pod. He said he was going to do this as a trial run, and we would see how it went.
How's the trial going, Brian?
I mean,
this is
I
the longest trial subscription I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I thought it was all confirmed. I mean, we did 4 episodes, and then you put my name on the Spotify thing. I thought we were all good here.
I mean, that's right. We kind of did it without asking. So, welcome to the family, Brian. Now, let that cuss word motherfucking rip.
Let it go.
They said, quote, this is a insider at one top deal maker at Marvel said, quote, Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle.
Yeah.
And they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently, but I don't see a path up to how they move forward with him, end quote. So some pretty strong language from the Marvel camp about how messed up they may feel about this. So essentially, they are hand-wringing about Jonathan Majors and Kang and how they're going to move forward. Because reading this piece, the season finale of Loki is going to center on Kang. And I don't feel like that's a spoiler, but that was kind of new information here. Yeah. And it basically talks a little bit about the Marvels and how there was a little bit of some drama in the production of that. Nia DaCosta directed it, and she wasn't very close on overseeing the post-production of the Marvels. I'm taking that with a grain of salt because this has happened on many Disney productions. It's not just the Marvels, and I don't want to single out Nia DaCosta. Just I don't know, that feels weird to me. I didn't like that part of the piece, but here we are. And so lastly, the Marvels, people are worried about how the Marvels is going to do with all of this. The last thing that I wanted to talk about with this piece is that I guess people knew that the effects in Quantumania were so rough, and it got to a point where everybody was talking about it at the premiere, and even the kids of executives were talking about how bad the CG was in Ant-Man Quantumania. And you could just tell that specifically, there are scenes out of focus with the visual effects, which is something that we talked about on this podcast. And one of my main gripes with the movie was like, I don't know how you get to this point. And it turns out it's because they had 3 weeks less to do it, really pushing their VFX people. So it's not surprising the VFX people want to unionize when you take 11 days off of their production schedule and you want the same results while you're making more projects. So
yeah,
that's essentially, they also like name drop She-Hulk about how some of the VFX like slid into there. But honestly, most of this is about how they're going to work with Jonathan Majors. There's some Blade stuff in here, but that's a separate news item we'll get to when Marcus chats about it.
Well, we can hit it now.
So basically, Blade has been a mess. Like Blade's been a mess.
It's a shit show.
At one point, there were 4 leads in Blade, and Mahershala Ali was the fourth getting of like fourth in importance in the 3rd act.
What? That's as the character, his name is on it. Like, what?
It was said to be a women-led. It was supposed to be Blade's daughter, and it was supposed to be her gonna come into some type of like like a coming to age type of story, and he ended up being the 4th lead in it.
I don't care for that.
Yeah. So I don't know how. And as a sidebar here, I don't know how you mess up Blade. I don't know. I don't know how you get to this point. It's very comical to me. It sucks though, because Marshala Ali is an amazing actor and an amazing talent, and I don't know how this happens.
Well, they said he was ready to leave.
I would be too.
But they just brought on a new screenwriter now for Blade. So
yeah. So the last two things, I already said last thing, but two things I thought that would be important for our audience is that first, there are significant plans to bring back the original gang of Avengers. So we're talking Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, the 2012 Avengers. And I'm not particularly surprised here. Like, I think we all kind of figured they would show up in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. But the idea that they're talking about bringing back the whole original folks for an outing is wild to me. That ship has sailed. And I don't even think they'd be able to get all 6 back. Even if they could, it'd be one of the most expensive things that they would do, and they're already hemorrhaging money. Which is just bonkers.
And the other rumor is that Robert Downey Jr. has supposedly already signed on, and Chris Evans too was something else that I saw. Now that's all super grain of salt.
Giant grain of salt.
Giant.
Honestly, it would not surprise me.
Me neither.
At this point, and I feel like it's an easy payday for them because they're out. I think it's really important to remember that Marvel made these actors sign like 6-picture deals so that they can keep their salaries low. Basically, they exchanged like, hey, you have job security for 10 years, but we're going to pay you not as much as we would if we signed you for, a contract for each individual movie.
And if there's another project, you have to do ours first. That's the other really important part of those.
So the idea that they'd get a one-off, they could easily make 10 million off of that. Easy.
Oh,
well, I'll wait till Brian get done before I go on my little rant.
No, I mean it's an easy move. I don't like to get Scarlett Johansson back though. I think she would want Bob Chapek's head at her door, but I'm not Scarlett Johansson. The only new information in here is that apparently when they bring it back to Majors and they talk about how he also had brutal conduct towards staff at his staffing agents or at his talent agency, CAA. This was rumored. It was not confirmed, but this was new in this piece. And then the other piece here was that there was a domestic violence incident apparently on the set of Loki for season 2 in London. And that was new information compiled with all of this in the Variety piece. And I feel like it's starting to tip where they're going to recast Majors because I feel like Marvel is playing this wait and see game. But now that it is very clear that it happened during a Marvel project too, with the same woman, allegedly. Marvel, it's gonna hit a tipping point here real fast. So that's the quick rundown of what this Variety piece was. I don't think there's a whole lot of information in here other than we're probably getting close to Jonathan Majors being recast.
That's okay. Thank you, Brian, for doing all the work and all the homework on all the legwork. I think I'm curious, and I think the discussion is like, there's a couple of questions that I have. One,
hit me.
What's the shit show? Like the shit show, like the general circus that is Marvel Studios these days,
right?
Seems to be untenable, like at best. Like you have massive rewrites. I messaged you all in the chat. Like I am legitimately concerned for what the Marvels will be because it just the stuff that they're, and here's the reason why. I have nothing against the 3 actresses. I think they're phenomenal. Right. I think their individual stories are well told. My concern is, and I think here's the red flag for me that something's off the rails, is the marketing.
It's terrible.
If you look at the way in which this movie's marketed, they're doing this like, okay, you know Carol, you know Miss Marvel, you know Spectrum. Those are the superheroes. Like, you know those three heroes. Now you got to meet these other people. Here's the prince, and here's the other like version of Ronan the Accuser. And it's like, if you're doing that, you're basically saying, if you don't do your homework before you get here, this is going to be nightmare for you.
Well, beyond the homework, it's lazy. Like, that's the biggest
Very
thing.
much so.
Marvel is at a point where I don't know how it happened, but it's not in a sustainable place anymore. It put all its eggs in one basket, and it was the continuity of things.
Yeah.
And what fucks up with the continuity of things is when you get somebody like Jonathan Majors, if he is guilty, allegedly, right? All of this is alleged. When one person fucks up, even though you have the multiverse and you've introduced the multiverse and variants, it could kind of save your ass in a recasting a little bit of like, we could go in a different direction just by recasting, and we have an out, which I think they planned this all on purpose of like, we can cast whoever the fuck we want because we just say hashtag multiverse, right? And so the continuity becomes a problem when first nobody's doing their homework on the previous shit that happened, because you don't have showrunners, you don't have any of that shit. That was the other thing in the report, right?
Yep.
And then now this situation comes up and everybody's panicking of like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Also, you've been beating a dead horse with the Kang storyline. Like, you introduced him in several different projects, and yet we're still not at the final version of him. At this point, we knew who Thanos was. We knew who the one big bad was. And then we've had 15 different fucking variants now. And it's too much. You're making me do too much.
I think that one of the things here is that Kang is a very ambitious villain, and it was one of the reasons I was excited about him, because he is a challenging narrative. And one of my critiques of Marvel has been, this can be more challenging, like, trust your audience. And I feel like they learned the wrong lesson if they were listening to me. Like, just because I want something to be more challenging doesn't mean it needs to be like a sparsely populated narrative, because the reason that people got hyped about Thanos was that he had a whole plot point in Guardians of the Galaxy all the way back in phase 2, right? And you saw what he was doing. He's collecting the stones. And that was a very simple thing to see in the background. The stinger credit for Age of Ultron was, I'll do it myself. That was a very clear indicator of what was happening. And I felt like that stuff translated well for like a big bad, and he's in the shadows. You're not seeing what he's doing. And they kind of flipped it for the multiverse, right? They kind of went at it a different way of like, no, we're going to show you He Who Remains. Like, this is it. And when Loki then separated the timelines, we all talked about how, or Sylvie, however you would like to phrase it, the end of season 1 of Loki. But we all talked about like, how amazing would it be if there's just a different version of Kang in these Marvel movies keeps popping up? That would be a really easy thread for people to realize, like, oh, this is the effect of Loki, and this is who the villain is, right?
Yep.
So that didn't happen.
No, it did not.
So you have Shang-Chi, who has to fight his dad, no relation to Kang. You have the Eternals, introduced a completely different cosmic villain, who we never hear from again at this point. I mean, we can keep going here, but like,
not to mention the giant fucking celestial in the middle of the ocean that nobody wants to talk about ever.
She-Hulk references it. It
does.
But even you know, I could go on and on and on, right? But they never put Kang in center focus until Quantumania. They go an entire phase without talking about it, which I think, and it wouldn't be a big deal if it was 6 projects, but it was 20. We ranked them on this podcast. We ranked all of these phase 4 projects, and that was too long. Like, it was just, it was too long to stretch that narrative is my main point here. It was too long to stretch that narrative. Like, if it was 6 projects and you had Kang pop up in 2 of them, great. But to do that for 20, you would have to have him pop up in like 8 of them for that thread to continue.
Or whatever he is after. Because I think the other side, like, I completely agree with what you're saying, Brian. I think the other aspect of this is that it was either the movies in the first 2-3 phases, they were either stone related or they were
Yes.
Thanos related.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
even movies where we weren't getting fine, I'll do it myself,
Good
we were
point.
still getting some progress towards
Mhm.
the stones would
Mhm.
eventually reveal themselves.
Yes.
Even Thor Dark World, which we would categorically say is
Yeah.
towards the bottom of our favorite like Marvel
100%.
projects, even that dealt with the Aether that was
Yeah.
the reality stone.
Which
Like
we
even
which we
Right.
technically found out later, right? Because
Right.
all we knew was Tesseract, and we didn't know anything about stones yet.
no.
Even then,
Right.
right?
But even then they started to lay the foundation of like, okay, yep, you're seeing Thanos.
Right.
Mhm.
Look, we're
Right.
seeing some
Mhm.
things that might be
Right.
stones. Like it's
Yeah.
sort of like they did the like nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You see where we're going here
Yeah.
throughout the first like 2.5, 3 phases.
Mm.
And the issue with these is they're not nudging us and winking at us anymore. They're just saying, there he is.
Yep.
Questions?
Yeah.
So I want to go to Darnell. What's up, Darnell? Darnell,
Darnell?
made a comment.
Oh.
Shang-Chi's rings connects Kang's. Miss Marvel bangles connect to Kang. Basically, the charms are the new stones, right? And we picked up on that
Completely
in
agree.
the
Sure.
Miss Marvel series. I think it's more of the pacing to
Yeah.
tell that story.
Yeah.
Quantumania, to me, and this is just to me, and Darnell, you're right. They have introduced these concepts, but
They
I think
totally have.
part of the other problem that I have is they have to now do cleanup on all of the series that came before this that did not address anything or connect to anything. They were just these seemed to be just one-off series that they just dumped on Disney Plus. And then the movies come out and they may connect to something, or they may hint at something, or they may not. And then you got to wait for Miss Marvel to come out to really get to those points, or wait for Shang-Chi to get to these points. But it's not really saying, it's not getting me there. And it's the pacing of the movies where you went from dumping everything out, and every month we had a goddamn TV show or a movie, to then you go, it just now is more sporadic where the Marvels is coming out, but there's no hype and excitement. Quantumania came out, which could have been a defining moment for Kang, but instead
Yeah.
you put it in an Ant-Man movie. And I just don't know. It's like Loki really delivered what Kang should have delivered
Mhm.
a while back. Like that fear of what the character is and who remains really is to me.
It's a big bowl of chicken noodle soup with only 2 pieces of chicken in it.
Yeah,
Like that's
Yeah.
there's no it's
Yeah.
just everything else is just broth and like
Mhm.
bits of like bits of celery and carrot. Like you're like, okay, this is great, but I didn't
Right.
show up for that. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I wanted to come here
Yeah.
for. So
Well,
yeah.
and I feel like, I guess I built it up in my head. Yeah, and I agree, Darnell. Like, we're
1000%.
still guessing, like with the bangle and the rings. That's a great point. They're definitely connected, and there's something with the 10 rings too. I want to
Right.
call that out. There's
Mhm.
something with the
Right.
10 rings involved. I don't even know if we'll get an Iron Man reference with it. Definitely Shang-Chi and definitely Miss Marvel.
We really
but,
missed that shit, which is sad. But
you know, like there's a very big possibility with that. I think that could be really exciting. However, I would like with the stones, it was like Infinity Gem, Infinity Stone, whatever. Infinity thing, Thanos, got it. Like he could do XYZ. And with the rings and the bangle, it's a little bit more in the ether, which is fine, but either give me more of those clues or show me a little bit more of the mystery with it. You don't have to tell me what it is, but at least give me like some mystery behind it so I can at least try to thread stuff together. And my main point here was like, there's so much story potential with the idea of like you're releasing all these projects, right? And I had this thought in my head of like, now that there's separate timelines, you could do this thing where you're releasing movies, right? And how cool would it be if you go through halfway through the movie, like say it's Black Widow, and then someone shows up and you're like, wait a minute, that person's not supposed to be there. And then you somehow weave in Kang, whether he's a character, whether he's watching it, and it's like, this is a different timeline. This is a completely different timeline.
Surprised they haven't done it already.
And
Or
even something like that. That was a clumsy way to describe it, but
or
something
reference
to that
the TVA. Like it could be a TVA agent shows
Right.
up at the end of a movie to be
That's
like,
way more
none
elegant.
of this should have happened. And they're
Yes.
like, wait, what? And then they
Right.
never address it, but then they cut to season 2 of Loki,
Yep.
and you're like, oh shit, they're trying to clean up all these branched
Yeah.
timelines.
Well, and I mean, I can't think of a better way if you really wanted to get your OG Avengers back. Like,
That's right for Marvel.
like you have a TVA agent in Scarlett Johansson's movie being like, I needed to come back and see this for myself or whatever
Mhm.
because she died. Same thing. It's an easy way to get Iron Man back, right? Like I just thought that's what would happen. And even though it could be confusing for general audiences, what a great way to be like, oh, you want to know about the TVA? You know, there's only 6 episodes of Loki on Disney Plus.
Ooh, that's a good theory, Darnell. That's a good theory. Yes, Marcus, you raise your hand.
Yeah, I just got to think about this whole Iron Man rumor that's happening, right? When Robert Downey Jr. comes back, I will watch it, right? Just keep in mind, this is a podcast where we're just vocalizing our opinions and thoughts, and this is a place where we share it. I'm going to watch the Marvel movies until I get to a point where I don't want to watch them shits no more, right? But the thing that is going to irritate me is, and a lot of people are making fun of it, of like, oh, you made me cry for nothing. You know, it does feel like you discredit this build up, this I am Iron Man, that I love you 3000 for what it feels like to me, and this is just to me, it feels like break the glass in case of an emergency.
It
Like we
absolutely reads that way.
Like we were not able to hit like we wanted to, and now we need to dig ourselves out of this hole. Here's my conspiracy theory about these rumors and like things that happen when they happen like this. This is just me. It feels like Marvel testing the waters on what would be cool. Hey, what would the fans like? So we're going to put this in, feed it out, somebody leak it, and we want to see what the fan reaction would be. And if we hit Twitter and everybody's like, we want the Big Six is rumored to come back. Oh God, that would be so fucking fantastic. It would save everything. Or, oh God, you made us cry for no reason. If you do that, you kind of ruin the experience for us. They can make decisions on, no, keep Kang. He's doing really great right now. Or this, like, if I'm being honest, Disney sets itself up to be on this pedestal of righteousness, right?
Yes.
And they put themselves there. But if they really have already invested all of this money into Kang, into Jonathan Majors, and they've already recorded enough, they still have to at least keep going with Loki and whatever else you had already set up next.
I mean, it sounds like from what I'm hearing, it sounds like this last episode of Loki is gonna fucking break the internet. That's what I'm hearing.
Me too.
That's really hard to come back from. And so yes, Darnell, they did say Shang-Chi and the Eternals were an experiment. So they absolutely have said maybe these aren't things that we are going to invest a ton of resources moving forward on.
Yeah.
And it sort of kind of confirms Marcus's theory of like, we're going to release the Eternals.
Right.
We want to see what you like with this artsy-fartsy direction, right?
Yeah.
And then we want to release Shang-Chi, and we want to see like there's this character that maybe wasn't always like a bigger character to relate to, but it's like we want to release him and see how well it does. And we eat the shit up or we don't, and they make decisions from there. I just think it's a cop-out. I think it's bullshit if you ask me. It's cheap, and it cheapens movies. I don't want to be a Martin Scorsese here for a little bit, but like you're cheapening the movie experience when you just do this cop-out, or you just lean back on this thing of like, let's just bring back our favorite characters and fix it. Even though it is a soft reboot, I do get that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing for me is that like that I've heard about, but it's like they're gonna eventually, the rubber's gonna meet the road, and they're gonna have to fucking pick a direction. Because the other rumor that I'm hearing is, well, maybe we won't recast Kang, but maybe Doctor Doom is now at the center of this moving forward.
That was in the variety piece.
That is
that's too much.
That's a lot.
Too much. X-Men, Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four, and then but then you haven't even gotten to Secret Wars, where you're apparently trying to have Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire once again leaning on that goddamn nostalgia train. Like you're cheating the fans out of an experience. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. It has to be earned. And we saw that with Spider-Man No Way Home, because Tom Holland held his own and made Spider-Man on his own.
He did.
With 4 movies of Spider-Man. Right?
Yep.
Like he made that character his own. And that's why No Way Home worked, because we had a very intimate like relationship with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And then we bring in Tobey and Andrew. That's how you earn it, because it can stand on its own. My concern at this point is that it's 2 things. One, you haven't even established who even is on call for the Avengers. And we've talked about this before, but like, nobody's home. Like nobody's answering the phone. So you can't even have this moment of like the new Avengers meeting the OG Avengers, because who are they? Like, we don't know. And we've had almost 20 projects at this point, and we don't know. And so that's how it's not earned. Like, and that would feel really cheap. I agree.
The thing that I'm worried about with the Doctor Doom storyline,
sure,
is this. That is very second version of Secret Wars source material. He's the center of all of that with Shadow World and all that jazz. But the issue is that predicates itself heavily on the idea of incursions and worlds coming together and destroying one another. And you did that once, and it was
you never went back.
Kind of sloppy the way it was executed.
That motherfucker just hopped into a rip of space and disappeared with his boo thing and never heard nothing else back.
Yeah, Charlize Theron, never seen again.
Ripped a rift in time and went, let's go to the dark dimension. You're like, who the fuck is this? And then we just never heard from him again.
Well, and that's the other thing here is that they had a perfect on-ramp in Multiverse of Madness to
100%
to at least clarify or set up stuff, and it didn't do any of that. It was a great character piece for both for Doctor Strange, and it was fun to see Wanda, but they did that was the moment I feel like you could have clarified stuff and they didn't. And the other thing with this is that Kang, look, regardless if we're just talking about like the actor and the situation they're in. I'm not talking about the legal proceedings. I'm not a lawyer.
Please.
The movie piece of it, though.
You're not a lawyer?
Yes, I'm not. Don't take legal advice from me.
Brian, you're fired. This was all predicated.
I just signed a contract with you yesterday.
Legal advice.
That was not me. I don't know how to tell you.
My whole life is ruined.
It was a variant. It was the lawyer variant. But like, if I'm Kevin Feige and I'm in this situation where I literally have an entire multimedia empire built on comics, and I have a comic book character who is literally a different version of himself in every reality, the recasting for this is it's yelling at you at this point.
It's
like I can't think of an easier way to exit a character regardless of the situation and bring in someone new. And there's so many people that would be chomping at the bit for this that could bring the acting chops to it. I mean, we can go down a name game later, but at this point, it's very easy. There's a very easy solution here to me, and I don't know what all the hand wringing is about.
Your reluctance to pull the switch and just say, fuck it, we don't care, only communicates that we don't want to do the work. Like that is all that conveys is we would prefer to just go the route that we have, and we just want to switch it off. Because you're right, Brian, it's easy. We saw heavily make-upped versions of him at the end of Quantumania. It would not be hard for you to just be like, fuck it, we have something else. Is there a mouse on this podcast that's trying to get my attention?
I know. I'm like, Marcus, are you trying to say something?
Marcus is playing like he's playing my son who like wants to ask me a question when I'm trying to talk to the bank teller. Yes, what? Like,
okay, can I propose something that is not aligned with my morals or thought process into like the case with Jonathan Majors? Can I propose a different scenario?
You may.
I want to propose that, and this once again, this is completely separate. I'm just thinking outside entity, right? Of maybe why they have not pulled the trigger on this. Okay, I think if me, Marcus, as a person who is enjoying things as they are and not as like with the drama behind Jonathan Majors and the things he's going and everything that's happening, right?
Yes,
he's acting his ass off. And I think that there is a task there to find somebody who can play this role, because they have obviously seen something down the line that we have not seen yet that they like. And I think in Loki, I have kind of seen it. In Quantumania, we've kind of seen it of like, the boy is acting his ass off. If I'm separating these two things, and honestly, you can find a big name to replace. Like you can do a Idris Elba, you can do something like that to kind of come in. Well, you can't really because he's an MCU, but
I mean, you could. I mean,
you could do really
like an
whatever.
older, grizzled Kang.
Yeah, like really like that's the final version of Kang.
Yeah,
there are ways to replace the person. He is not irreplaceable by any means, but I do see a difficulty with like you see somebody acting their ass off, there is a
Yeah.
reason that they've been stretching Kang across a bunch of movies, and I think they're trying to go to the very last moment that they can before they make a decision. Because if they were to recast him before he's found not guilty, there's something in that damn contract that is going to be like, we should have waited, or he gonna get some money out of that because they let him go too soon. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You're probably
Oh,
right. They are
100%.
probably waiting for it to be explicit that
Like,
yes,
final. The gavel has come down and you are guilty. Then the mouse is done. But the mouse has been giving you all of these resources. Megan Good has been on your side. They've been like amping you up in front of the black folk to get you back in the good. I'm just being honest from like what my
I'm laughing because you're right though.
Well, and remember, which of the two studios has been more subject to the court of public opinion, DC or Marvel?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's easy. If you want the blueprint of like, well, we're going to give in to the court of public opinion and let that dictate how we do business. Aquaman 2 is your only reason to be that way. Because all of the shit, and we reported on it at least 3-4 weeks ago. We talked about what a nightmare Aquaman 2 looks like, and all of that like pressure rumor to have him kicked out came from a story that stemmed from a trial that then found its way to WB headquarters, and they wait, oh no, people don't like Amber Heard, maybe we'll get rid of her. That is all of that. And so
that's a great point.
To Disney's credit, and again, I am not, this is me
separate. It's completely
this is entirely separate.
Right.
In their defense, wait and see. Like, I get it, and and I realized 3 minutes ago I said you should flip the switch, but that's a great point, Marcus. Of like, that's a great point as to why they might not. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
I think it's a great I think it's a great point because it is the business angle, right? Because we're getting a lot of the legal stuff, but like from the actual story perspective, like I think Jonathan Majors does it really well. And I think they will absolutely let it, like, they're going to go up to the minute until they can. And I agree with Darnell. That is definitely what Disney's view is at this point. And that is probably why that would probably push back of the philosophy of like, why aren't you recasting right away? Because they all probably are like, no, like this is the guy to play the role, but we also understand these other outside implications. So from a business perspective, flip the switch.
You can't make that decision yet. You can't, and we don't know how much the other part of that is you don't know how much money they've I hate being this person. You don't know how much money they've already invested. Capitalism is you can be the self-righteous, like you can be on the pedestal and be self-righteous all you want to, as much as you want to, but at the end of the day, you're still a business, and capitalism is the business. And if you've already invested so much into this person and into this character, I'm already hemorrhaging money. We just said that from the Disney Plus releases. I'm going to lose even more money when I got to pay out this motherfucker for the rest of his contracts, or let him go too early and get blowback from the public, like Darnell said. My hands is tied behind my back until the very last minute where I have an excuse to actually let him go.
Right.
Like that's just the honesty.
To use the football term, they are a game time decision. Like, we do not know. Like the doctors have looked at them, but we don't know until that's all that this is.
That's all that it is.
It's sad that that's the way it is, but here we are.
And I see Darnell talking about recasting T'Challa. Like, to me, recasting is not a bad word.
No.
I'm a big proponent of it. I've been on that soapbox
and
for Star
will.
Wars.
And they will.
And like XYZ. But yeah, it is definitely, they're trying to run out the clock here. And I think they know they have until, my guess, if I had to guess, I think it's going to be January, February 24 when they make the decision if they're going to stick or cut them loose.
Then they can fix it after the strike is over. All your new actors are free to go. All your writers are free to go. You can go into Deadpool 3, and Deadpool 3 will be your restart. And you can make a little quick Ryan Reynolds Deadpool joke about, oh, you look like a different person. Are you saying all black people look alike? No, I'm not saying all black people look alike. You're just a version of Kang. Boom, done.
Bada bing, bada boom, we're done. Yep.
Yeah. And you could even do like one of those quippy things where, once he is found guilty and everybody hates him, like you could do one of those things that like Ryan Reynolds did at the end of Deadpool 2, where he went around killing different versions of himself. You could
Good
have
point.
a cutaway where he just cuts the head off of Kang and goes, "Oh, wasn't that hard?" Insert quip here, and then moseys on to the next part of the timeline.
Right.
You could undo it.
I think Marvel is smarter than we think because they've set up exit strategies.
Mhm.
Deadpool is an exit strategy. Like their variants is an exit strategy. Like there's so many
Yes.
different ways that they can just like hit the
I
eject.
agree.
And
I
guess
agree.
some of it, I guess some of this is like how much of this is their own doing and how much of it is a combination and basically a compounding of factors. Factor one, COVID. Fuck them all up. And that's nobody's fault.
That
That's
was not their fault.
not their fault. How they handled it, which is point 2, with Chapek leaning into Disney Plus and saying, like faster, more intense with every single Disney show that he tried to do.
Harder, faster, stronger.
Yep. And so those two things compounded, and then underestimating what people would go back to the theater for. You kind of said like, oh, they'll show up for anything. And that just has the numbers go back like 2 months to where Brian did his numbers recap. It's not true. The numbers and the writing is on the wall. They want an event. Barbie and Oppenheimer is the quintessential definition of the lesson all studios should have learned, which is you want your movie to be successful, make it a fucking event. Like make it a thing where you dress up and you go. But if you're just trotting out the B squad, rethink it, because they're not going to show up for, whatever. So I would just say like, how they've handled the pandemic didn't help. How they handled the pandemic didn't help. Having a disingenuous CEO who had a bad strategy didn't help. And they've never been. It's the Tiger King line. They have never been able to financially recover from this. Like they are just stuck going. We either have to wait until this is resolved, or we have to say all of that bullshit, we're never going to recover and we're just going to flush it and start over. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
Well, on the plus side, I have 3 pieces of Marvel news that maybe will lighten your mood up.
Let's do it.
I think some of this we already know. What If Season 2 premieres on Disney Plus this holiday season? The Valkyrie is in the Marvels movie. They just released a new trailer for the Marvels, and Valkyrie is in
Valkyrie's in there?
So I'm in that motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
I'm in there. And then Blade is going to be rated R according to Deadline. So there you go. They're trying to fix it right now.
I don't know how you do Blade without it being rated R.
That's the obvious question.
This man sucks blood for sustenance. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
And some people do that for free.
Well,
yeah,
and I feel
just their bag, man. That's their young.
To your point, though, like honestly, I feel like this was part of like the September, August retreat they did.
Yes,
and I feel like they know they need to start pivoting and being more distinct since we've been in this ether for so long. And I feel like somebody there was like, we've been really violent before, and that works. And I feel like Kevin Feige was like, it's time to go Max.
Well, did you see the stuff about the Spotlight? Like about Echo and stuff like that? Like the new series they're doing?
Did you catch the warning at the end of Echo?
No, I did not.
I did not.
The warning at the end of Echo was, this is TVMA. You need to fix your Disney Plus settings if you want to watch this.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I like that they started with Echo, right? If you're gonna have a rated R thing, and Daredevil was in it too, right?
He
was in that trailer
certainly
too.
was. He was diving backwards.
He's like in 2 frames of that, but yeah, he's in
call
it.
that shit quick as hell.
Go ahead.
It would be difficult to do Echo without him.
Yes.
Yeah. It's based off of, for those that need to know, it's based off of the parts of a whole storyline, and really it's Matt is mourning the death. And this is actually a great way you can kind of fix some of those cast members not coming back too. See, again, Marvel is smart. So like Foggy is coming back, but his previous love interest is not.
Yeah.
And in Echo, in the parts of a whole storyline, Matt is mourning the death of his love interest, which was featured in the previous series. So it would be really easy to just use Echo as he's found out she's died. Kingpin capitalizes and sends Echo to try and kill him.
Well,
So,
and
yeah.
it's going to be curious how they do this timeline wise. I'm sure there's going to be lots of flashbacks and flash forwards.
Yes.
But honestly, I want this series to do well. Like
Oh,
this is
I
where
do
I'm
too.
at. 'Cause, like both with the Marvels too. Like I feel like the Marvels is like the closest we're going to get to an Avengers team up movie for a while, which is one of the reasons I'm excited about it. Echo is something. It is very fresh and it's very new, and I feel like if you're going to draft off of that Hawkeye energy, this is how you do it. And I really want it to be good because I think it could be something really special and different and be distinctive and get edgier. Because I do feel like we're at the point where people who watched Iron Man in 2008, like if you were a kid then, you have grown up. You are an adult now. So this is an example of like this can kind of grow up with you. You're probably ready for Echo. If your first Marvel movie was Iron Man as a kid, you're ready for something a bit more complicated and messier, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, and it does give, I mean, if you stuck and you hung out and you watched Hawkeye, Brian, to your point, if you watched Hawkeye, you now get to dive into it a little bit more in depth. So Darnell asks a great question in the chat, says, do you guys think with spotlights it would confuse people on what's connected and what's not? People are already lost as it is. So, gentlemen, thoughts on Darnell's question?
I have a it's a two-part answer. One, the answer is yes. It can be confusing because it is what it is. But also like the what is the special presentations and the spotlight. Here's the reason why I like it, and I think it won't be too much of a problem. I think you have to be a certain type of a fan to understand the difference, and part of that is being a comic book fan, right? There are versions of comic books and versions of characters that are those one-offs, and it's like the one particular story about this one thing, and this is only what it's about, or it's a series that focuses on these one individual characters. I think that makes sense with a movie because then I know when you're on the app itself, it'll probably be like, here are all the spotlight characters that you want to do, or here are all the special presentations. It's Werewolf by Night, it's Silver Surfer, it's these characters where they're just one-offs. Our longer series, because now we're not doing limited series anymore. They're saying they want to do a few seasons for series now. Okay, these are our long-running series. This is a spotlight where Echo might not get another series. You just get a one and done because that's how the comic book runs. And you could do the same thing with Hawkeye. Hawkeye is now a spotlight thing, and you can redefine some of those that already came out, like She-Hulk or whatever. Yes, it can be confusing, but I also think we got to remember Marvel wants to plan for not just the people who are in the right now, but for the people who are going to catch up later. Yeah. And so when it's time to do the homework, I think this is an easy way for me to be like, let me go watch this spotlight series with this one character before I go see this next thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And for everybody that may not know, so Marvel announced this type of branding, spotlight branding. So if you see a series that is a spotlight branded project, it is not necessarily connected to the larger crossover type stuff, essentially. So if it's a spotlight project, you can be like, hey, grandma, you should check this out. And they'll be like, I don't watch all the Marvel stuff. Be like, wait, it's a spotlight series. You don't have to worry about it. And I do feel like it helps focus on those more character driven stuff.
Right.
I think that's
a fan of different things.
Well, I feel like it's an easier way to be like, I really like Marvel, but I like it when it's character focused, like Moon Knight or even Daredevil, Jessica Jones, that type of stuff.
She-Hulk.
And She-Hulk. It does feel like She-Hulk will be connected, but like, right. But it's the same idea of like, hey, you just want to watch like a good story and you don't have to catch up on anything. This is for you. And I feel like that could work for Marvel because they've built their entire brand on everything's connected. I mean, we even talked about homework, right? Like that is kind of how it feels with how they've rolled out some of these stories. You don't want people to make it feel like homework. And this is a great way to be like, just you need nothing, come as you are, you know?
Yeah, it's a good on-ramp. It's a good on-ramp to say like, or again, Brian, to your point of like, I don't like Marvel's like pop stuff. I really like just Daredevil. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Then there's this spotlight as well as the series, and you could be done. Like
that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. The pop, like the mainstream pop is like, I'm also tired of Marvel's current storytelling when it comes to certain movies. Like I do miss the
Yeah.
days of when Iron Man had a darker feel, tone, cinematography, look. Thor felt a little bit darker. It felt a little bit more
Well,
serious, and maybe they'll go back to that one day. And like, I don't know, even Captain America felt like, Winter Soldier had a different feeling to it.
yeah.
I understand that the audience is more broad now and you have more children that are watching, but I don't know.
Well, and this is an interesting point, and I had a conversation because I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes, it went back
I feel
to
like
that.
it was that.
Yes.
But when I talk to people
Yeah.
about that movie, I get such a strong reaction, whether positive or negative.
Mm.
Like I talked to somebody this weekend about it, and they're like, "Ugh, I can't." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is just really tough for me because it is dark, especially with the animal stuff." And like, I think it's so polarizing and so fascinating that the most distinct project made people the most uncomfortable, but it is also the most highly praised movie so far
Right.
since Endgame.
Right.
So I do feel like we gotta pick a direction here, Marvel.
We've talked about this before, and it's risk. It's
Yeah,
take a risk. Like,
Yeah, they
take a
need
risk.
to.
Tell a story that might make me uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna reward you for it, even if it's
Mhm.
an attempt. I'm gonna
Right.
reward you for it. Versus if you trot out the same like big flashy colors, like if you give me Thor, Love and Thunder in a different sort of iteration and capacity,
Mhm.
and you don't take the risk and you keep doing that, I'm eventually gonna be like, yeah, I can't anymore. Like I need the risk, or otherwise I don't want to stick with it. So
It's a Drake
Right.
album. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's a Drake
Oh,
album.
shit.
agree.
It's
100%.
like you have to have the honestly never minds. You have to have the more lives. It's music in general, right? From any of our favorite artists that can hang around this long. That what we're the honest conversation, and I love the fact that we've been talking about this for so long because I do think it's a good conversation to have. But longevity is the name of the game. And there
Right.
aren't a lot of artists that can stay this long in a game
Mhm.
without being either overly criticized or not making it what they used to be or being compared constantly to what it used
Right.
to be. And when you try something new, then everybody's like, ew, yuck, what the fuck? Until you sit with it long enough where it grows on you and you actually get a time to listen to it, not when it's like
Mhm.
fresh from the hands of reviewers or fresh from the hands of like,
Yeah.
yo, this shit is ass. I can't believe I missed the old Drake or I missed the old Marvel or I missed the old whatever.
Yeah.
I was
And
just gonna say there are people who have like probably a similar set of attire to me, a mustache. Maybe they're wearing a Venom shirt underneath this, and they can say like, "I like Marvel before it got all
Right.
corporate." Like
Right.
they're making
Right.
that statement, much like making a comment on a Drake album or any type of album. They're like, "I liked it before it went pop." Like that's a real
Yeah.
conversation that's happening somewhere.
I mean,
and so yeah.
and I do feel like that is what is going to happen with like Eternals and She-Hulk. I do like that is my bold
They'll revisit it.
prediction.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people will revisit it, and like it still blows my. I know we already talked about Eternals, but the Eternals introduced so many things that we haven't revisited in 2 years.
Yes.
That it is mind blowing, and I liked the risk they took. The whole movie didn't work for me, but there were parts that did, and I'm shocked that they didn't pick up on those or even follow up on any of those threads. Now, the Marvels is probably a good place if something were to happen, but yeah, like you have to. I don't know. The risks feel fewer. Is I guess maybe where we're at.
Gemma Chan's character is still on Earth.
Yeah.
Is she?
She didn't leave.
She never left.
Only
well, no, she
some
got
of them
kidnapped
left.
at the end.
I thought she got kidnapped.
I thought she got taken.
Yeah,
no,
you're
she
right.
did get taken. Yeah, she got
The
taken.
Black Knight. Black Knight
There you go,
is
yeah.
hanging out with Blade.
Well, that's not
apparently.
happening anymore. Apparently, like they've scrapped that whole thing. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I
Um,
mean, yeah.
Great conversation. Either way, great conversation, y'all. Appreciate Darnell in the chat giving us some questions and participating along with us. I mean, really, that's we've exhausted the Marvel topic for a long time. And for those of you who are wondering, okay, they keep talking about the Marvels. We're going to talk about it next week. Like it comes out this weekend. So think about this. Here's the last thing I'll say about Landscape and some of the answers and what we expect. Big episode of Loki coming out late Thursday night into Friday. And on the same day, Friday, the Marvels will release in theaters. So this dream scenario that Marvel wanted to have where a Disney Plus series ended and a movie premiered, they will be coming out at the same time. My hopes for them having any semblance of connection whatsoever is
it leads right into it.
Of the basement of the subfloor of the apartment building that Kevin Feige ends. I would not, and this is Doug Wagner being the cynical man he is, if they touch it or address what happens in Loki and the Marvels at all, I will be flabbergasted.
Wait. Say it again.
I'm saying, based on Marvel's previous history, they do this all the time where a movie releases, like here's a great example. Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Widow. It went Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then Black Widow. We didn't touch. They kind of looked at, they were like people in a bathroom. They didn't look at each other, but they were both kind of in the same room.
We got like the briefest Valentina moment.
Like
really, 30
really
seconds.
Small. That is my hope for Loki season 2 coming to some sort of climactic moment this Friday and the Marvels releasing. If they do like a trick or treat, here's a little moment, that's it. That's what I expect.
I think it's going to be bigger.
Expectations are very low.
Mine is it's going to be bigger than that because I don't think you strategically drop Loki season 2 the way that they've been leading up to this big thing, He Who Remains. I think that we get some type of version of Kang and he gets triggered by something that happens in the Marvels that will bring him to Earth because now we need to start connecting dots. And if Marvel is smart, you end Loki on Thursday evening. You watch it, you go book your ticket for the movie theater because Carol Danvers is either at the end of goddamn Loki or there's some reference or something to the Marvels of there's something there. I think that there's something there if they're smart. If not, I'm like, that's
follow
crazy.
Follow us on socials where I live stream Marcus's disappointment.
No way. Or follow me on socials where I prove the man wrong again.
Well, I think something to keep
Brian
in
will just
mind.
be there.
Something to keep in mind, though, that I want to interject into this is that we were supposed to get the Marvels in July. So we're, in some respects, we're already supposed. Let me start over. There is a version of this where it was completely normal for us to have the information of the Marvels going into Loki season 2. So I'm keeping myself in check for that.
Nice.
However, Marvel is not one to just not modify stuff at the last minute. Case in point, they added the stinger for the Avengers 1 week before they released the movie, 2012 Avengers. So I do think I think there will be connective tissue. I don't know if it's going to be Kang though, but we'll see.
All right.
Not,
well, tune in next week when we'll be able to unpack it all. So, God damn it, she's back again.
Yeah.
We should do a live reaction to Loki. That would be fun.
Should we? Yeah. How do we do it? I don't know.
We'll figure it out. Hey, stay with us as we make this all up.
We'll figure it out.
Along, everybody. Yeah.
We can sit right here on our podcast.
We'll stream it on Twitch while I'm playing Spider-Man. It's going to be great.
And Doug can play it now too.
I can as well. That game is insane.
Okay,
gentlemen, anything else you all want to chat on this episode?
Oh no, man. I think. Thank you for hanging in there with us. I hope you enjoyed this Marvel conversation.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, we've been kind of dancing around this for a while, and we were at a good point, especially with what's coming up. We were at a good point to say, like, what's the current status of this? So,
I mean, and I know that we talked about it at length during when the Daredevil news came out, which was, this was like 2-3 weeks ago. But oh my gosh, I have breaking news from Kangaroo in the Water. Velocipaster 2 is in production, so we're gonna keep tabs on that. However, just 2-3 weeks ago there was the Daredevil TV stuff that we dissected, and now this is like the big bird's eye view for you, our listeners. We know that you like our deep dives, so this was the Marvel deep dive before we go into the Marvels. So hopefully this is really good companion listening as the Marvels comes out this weekend. So I'm glad that we were able to have this out, because there is so many interlocking parts here that you can't discuss one without the other at this point.
Very true. And
I
for
just want
those
to
of
say,
you,
fuck Doug, because he always comes as Zack Snyder for every goddamn thing, and I'm sick of it.
no, okay. Here's what I was
Sick
saying.
of it.
So here's what happened. So it got another piece of news that got released today is that we sort of went backwards, and I don't know how this came out, but it got announced that Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon and Army of the Dead are in the same universe.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
On this?
And my knee-jerk reaction was like, cool. And the reason why that was my knee-jerk reaction is kind of because I appreciated that what Zack Snyder was doing with these projects was sort of the antithesis of what Marvel was doing. That they were good on their own. That I didn't need them to be connected for me to enjoy it. So glad that he put them together, but it does feel like he's that kid in the back of the room that's like, Mrs. Johnson, I did this week's homework and next week's homework. And everybody's like, fuck that guy. Like, no one asked you to do that. Like, you didn't need to make them connected. Again, glad that they did, but I didn't ask.
We didn't ask for half this shit that Marvel is doing either, but ain't nobody said a goddamn word about it. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said a mumbling word when all this shit was connected and not connected.
We spent the better part of 55 minutes saying how for the past year and a half they haven't done it well.
All of a sudden, when Zack Snyder does it, it's a goddamn problem. I think
I'm not saying it's and I don't want it to be construed as like, oh, I think it's a problem. It's sort of like a cool. I got my 10th stamp for my free sub.
Oh,
awesome.
You know what? All right, just go to the part where we spotlight something. Just go to that part, because this might be the end of film. It's going to be films in white on white.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was capital F fine. I'm unmoved.
That is the best way for me to describe it. It's fine. Cool.
It's fine.
Great.
It's fine.
Brian, is there anything that you would like to promote this week?
Hey, folks, have I told you about Color Me Confetti, my wife's Etsy store where you can find all types of party decorations? You don't have to buy a big package. You can buy individual decorations. That's right. You can go straight to Etsy and type in Color Me Confetti, all one word, and go check out her shop. There you go. Color Me Confetti.
Doug, what do you got to promote this week?
I would like to promote my new podcast called It's Not a Problem, which is an apologist podcast for the situation I've created. No, it's Island plug this podcast. It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
This feels like an I think you should leave bit. Like, I can't stress this.
It's fine.
I can't.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about any of it.
Next week, this will be the next episode of Films in White on White, because the black is leaving. So figure it out.
Welcome to. Yep.
Films on White on White sounds like a
we're gonna get a lot of followers,
podcast.
but for all the wrong reasons.
Oh my gosh! No,
it's all insurrectionists that is like listening now. So
it would basically be like the FBI list that they're like looking for on January.
The no-fly list is also the listeners for Films.
It would be the honeypot. Doug and I would be the honeypot operation. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Operation.
Oh,
she's back. All right.
Oh man, what a great symmetrical moment.
Perfect. That was perfect.
Full circle.
The only thing, here's what I have to plug: this podcast. If you have enjoyed our conversation, if you enjoy our shenanigans, the best way for us to get some traction is to share us with a family member or a friend. Tell them you like listening. Recommend that we listen. That's the best way for us to grow. If you're one of those folks who's like, hey, I got a couple extra bucks hanging around, toss it our way. Patreon.com/films in black and white. Great way for you to support us. And so really love if that was something that you would want to do. Also, happy next week. We might be able to celebrate a momentous occasion where we get across the 10,000 listener mark, which we're very, very excited about. So that would be quite the moment. So hopefully you all can tune in next week. So that's what I got to plug. Marcus, what do you have to plug?
You already know what it is. Make sure you follow the mantra, never offended, always humble, or Noah for short. Go listen to some music. Got some new music on the way. Go listen to some Soul Tie. He's got a new single out right now. Go buy yourself some merch with the link in my bio and all of my socials. But whatever you do, make sure you live the mantra and follow the mantra, never offended, always humble.
Absolutely. Well, you know what we have here. We have a 3-step process to success. Brian, kick us off with that first step.
Hey folks, I'm here to tell you to read a book. Are you passionate about something? Do you really like certain subjects? Because there's books for them and you can learn more about them and the granular details about them that might inform your opinions. Say, you wanted to know more about the MCU. I'm currently reading a book called Reign of the MCU with every single behind the scenes and production choice, the people who made the things happen all the way back in the early 2000s. And it's pretty good. Doug and Marcus have humored me. I will just word vomit at them about all these really little weird details that don't make any sense out of context. So just do yourself a favor. If you really like something, lean in, get a book and read it. You'll love it. Read a book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Marcus, what is that second step?
You want to make sure you drink some water. I don't know what the hell going on with South Dakota weather, but we still fine, I guess. It snowed last week and now it was hot as hell today. But make sure
65 today.
65, nice crisp 65.
That's nice.
But
it's good fall weather.
It was nice outside. It was very beautiful out. But make sure you're drinking some water. Make sure you get that good stuff in you. Treat yourself to some Fiji. Treat yourself to some Voss. Treat yourself to the nice stuff. Stop drinking out that water out the spigot. Although it was the cure for COVID, I'm sure. But now, better. So you know what I mean. Drink some water.
Absolutely. And our third step to this whole success train is, look, y'all, it's all of those. It's just getting into the time where we're going to be spending a lot more time indoors. We fell back and you're going to be around a lot of folks. Do them a favor. Do yourself a favor. Wash your ass. Like, don't carry in everything as we get into the holiday season with the 2 big ones coming up. Like, it's important to just make sure that you clean all that stuff out. So that way, as you're inside longer, given the winter and what's coming, you're not punishing everybody with your stench. Just take care.
Is coming.
That's right. And Roman, there's no step 4. Step
Embrace your yum.
Embrace your inner yum. You know, that's what you have it. That does it for this week's episode of Films Black and White. We'll be back next week with another fantastic episode. But in the meantime, and in the between time, stay healthy, stay safe. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
Doug and I'll be boxing in the Patreon, so join for $5.
And I will be calling it, so you can join that for my commentary.
If anything, for the commentary of 2 friends who don't hurt each other, trying to fight on each other.
Yeah, it really ends up Brittany beating us both the fuck up. So.
That's pretty much going to be it.
That's Brittany's music. She's
oh my god! There she comes. She's got a steel chair.
She's running down the line.
Fuck.
Oh, the humanity.
Where did she get a steel chair?